Welcome to Teaching in English at SDU Assessment Process. So I'm going to talk you through the flowchart that you've got access to and hopefully dispel any fears you may have about this assessment process. So the purpose of it is so that all teachers who are teaching through the medium of English, but English isn't their first language, can have an assessment of the standard of the English that they're using for their teaching. And as long as that assessment reaches the European level of C1, then everything's fine and it will be passed and we won't be bothering you again. And just to reassure you, the vast majority, more than 95% of all colleagues achieve a C1 pass level or even C2. So it's well within most lecturers' grasp. So let me just talk you through how this is going to pan out. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the large arrow indicating self-assess teaching in English. So that's really up to you to decide how strong you think your English is. And if you think you're ready to go ahead with the assessment, then that's fine. You'll follow the track 2B. But just before we go there, if, for example, you think, no, I'd like some more support or I'd like some more advice on whether I am ready, then we can certainly help with that and we can provide free support with spoken English. And just to bear in mind, this assessment is only about the spoken English that you use during a teaching session. But if you do feel you're ready, then you follow the track through 2B and you register using the registration survey that you'll receive by email. If by chance you're not teaching in the autumn semester, but you are going to be teaching in the spring, or spring would just be more convenient for you anyway, then that's fine. But we'd still recommend that you register and just apply for it to be deferred to the spring semester 2018. So if you choose to have extra support, then you'll follow the line 3A and we'll set that up for you. You might do that with a group or you might have individual support from an external source. If you go ahead and register, then we will be asking you for a number of dates that would be convenient for the examiners to come in and observe your teaching. And how does that work? Well, it means that 2 of us come in, we ask you to have some places ready for us. We usually sit towards the back of the room. We'll set up the cameras and the microphones because we do video or recordings. And we do that so that we can double check the review after we've left your session. We can just review the video if we're unsure of what we've heard or if our notes aren't fully clear. So it serves very much the purpose for us to make sure we give you as fair an assessment as possible. So we'll arrange all the technical stuff with the cameras and the microphones, and we'll sit usually at the back of the class. We won't interfere at all with the session, other than we'll only be there for 45 minutes. So when our time is over, it's probably a good idea to have arranged a break and then we can just slip out. And you'll hear from us within 2 weeks regarding the outcome. In terms of what this means for you, if we just go to the top of this list here, what we need to observe and listen to is about 40-45 minutes of your teaching time. And we need you to split that teaching time, approximately 50-50%, between presentation mode, where you're really lecturing the students. They can still interact with you, but we need to see you in presentation mode for approximately half the time. And then the other half of the time actually interacting with the students. You can arrange that however you want to. You could start with a presentation for 20 minutes, then move on to group work and circulate amongst the groups, or you could integrate the interaction into your presentation so that you're inviting student discussion whilst you're also taking control of the lecturing aim of the session. So it's entirely up to you, and you'll find some more advice on the project's webpage on how you could allocate those 40 minutes. But we do have to hear both presentation mode and interaction mode. And that's because we tend to speak differently in those two modes. And the interaction modes allows us to evaluate how you respond to students' questions that you're unprepared for. So we'll sit and take notes and video you during this teaching session. If possible, we'd appreciate receiving a lesson outline before we come in or just as we sit down, just so that we have a sense of what we're likely to be listening to. But it really doesn't matter. We don't need to understand the focus of your session. We're just there to listen to how you talk about it. So we stay in the room, as I said, staying out of your way. We'll take notes. We won't interrupt you. And then you'll receive a written report which includes feedback and feedforward and of course the assessment grade. You'll also, if you wish, you can receive a copy of the video recording, but we'd ask you to request that. We won't provide that unless you do. And it will be, if it would be helpful, you're very welcome to meet with an examiner to discuss the feedback. So let's say it's done and you receive the feedback, certainly within 2 weeks of the recording, and you exit with a grade C1 or C2, well, congratulations, that's fine. That means the assessment process is completed and you'll receive a certificate. And the important thing about that certificate is it's certainly of value in SDU, but also should you apply and work in another institution, you could also use it to demonstrate that you have gone through this process. Other universities may still require you to take their assessment, but in some cases it may well prevent you having to do that again. If by chance you're awarded a B1 or a B2, that means that it's not quite good enough to achieve a C1. You decide if you want to go ahead with a reassessment. But we do ask that you meet with the examiners if that's the case, so we can really talk through the feedback and make sure that you're fully aware of what you'd need to address to be able to do a stronger assessment for a C1 level. Okay, well, I think that's all we need to explain for now, but if you have any more queries, you're very welcome to contact us.